My dear students, today we are dealing with the paper Literary Criticism and Theory. In the earlier classes, we have discussed Plato as a literary critic, and today we are going to discuss Aristotle as a critic. Friends, the name Aristotle needs no introduction. He was a Greek philosopher and he is known as a greatest philosopher of all the time. Aristotle was the greatest philosopher of all the time. And another important thing in case of Aristotle is that he was the pupil of Plato. He was the student of Plato. He studied under Plato for the period of 20 years in Athens. Another important thing in case of Aristotle is that Aristotle was a tutor, Aristotle was a teacher of the great king Alexander. Aristotle has taught Alexander the Great for more than 6 years. Friends, Aristotle is also called as the father of logic, and he is a versatile personality. There is no limit to the area of his study. He not only studied the literary criticism, but more than that, he was known for his studies in physics, in astronomy, in politics, in ethics, in literature and aesthetics. Friends, he has written more than half a dozen treatises on different subjects. And in case of literary criticism, the famous treatise where he expressed himself regarding literary criticism is known as Poetics. Poetics deals with the art of poetry. Actually, friends, Poetics is a fragmentary, incomplete work of literary criticism. Especially, Poetics deals with the nature, the function of tragedy, epic, and comedy. Under Aristotle as a Greek critic, we have to study few points. The important first point which we have to study under Aristotle as a Greek master, Aristotle as a critic, is Aristotle's observations on poetry. Friends, I have already told you that Aristotle was a student of Plato. He studied under him more than 20 years. But while writing the Poetics as a critical treatise, his basic purpose was to give reply to Plato's criticism of poetry. Poetics is nothing but an answer given by Aristotle to his attack on poetry. So Plato was totally against the poetry. There was no place for the poet in the ideal state of Plato that we have already discussed and we have studied under Plato as a Greek master. But Aristotle has considered all these objections taken by Plato against poetry are false. These all objections that were raised, that were taken by Plato are the false objections. They are unreal and they are harmful. So whatever Aristotle has expressed in his book, in his treatise Poetics, was totally opposite to the ideas of Plato regarding the nature of poetry and the function of poetry. So Aristotle has discussed the nature, the function and the emotional appeal of poetry in his book Poetics. So first of all, we'll discuss with the nature of poetry. According to Aristotle, poetry is the highest type of creative art. The poetry expresses the universal element in human nature. In order to appreciate the nature of poetry, the function of poetry, Aristotle has differentiated between poetry and history. According to Aristotle, poetry is universal, whereas history is very particular. Poetry deals with what may happen, poetry deals with what will happen in the future, whereas history deals with what happened in the past. And in case of imitations, as Plato has an onslaught on poetry because of its imitation, its quality of imitation. Aristotle feels that, he says that no doubt poets are the imitator. But what the poets are going to do? Poets, they imitate things as they are, as they were. Poet is going to imitate the things as they are said or as they are thought. The third point, poet is going to imitate the things as they are or as they ought to be. So this is the first point where Aristotle has dealt with the nature of poetry. Then the second point is the function of poetry. According to Aristotle, the end of poetry is to give pleasure. If I ask a question, why we read poetry, why we go through the poetry, why we study the poetry, the simple answer is that we are getting pleasure out of reading poetry, we are getting pleasure out of reciting a poem. So we study a poem, so we recite a poem, we go into the inner side of the poetry. So according to Aristotle, like all other fine arts, the main function of poetry is to please the reader, and the important two human instinct, that is the imitation and of harmony and rhythm, these two human instincts are the origin of poetry. The poetry has originated from these two basic human instincts. These two very reasons give pleasure both to the poet and equally to the reader. In addition to the first function of giving pleasure to the creator, giving pleasure to the reader, Aristotle has added one more function to poetry, and this function is to teach. Definitely, Aristotle accepts that teaching is the function of poetry. But according to Aristotle, the main function of poetry is to please, not to teach. No doubt, the poetry is going to teach the readers also, but its basic function is to please the reader, please the creator, that is the poet. And what type of pleasure it is? The pleasure arriving out of reading of poetry, it is of higher quality. For Aristotle, the pleasure which is coming out of reading of a poem, a pleasure coming out of reciting a poem, this pleasure is with truth. And this is the superior quality of pleasure. What Aristotle feels, the truth which is the outcome out of the reading of poetry along with the pleasure, it is responsible to improve the civic morality of the readers, the civic morality of the people. Then the third function of poetry, according to Aristotle, we'll discuss the third function of poetry, and it is the emotional appeal of poetry. Actually, while discussing Plato, we have seen that why Plato was against poetry, the Plato was against poetry only because of its emotional appeal. According to Plato, the emotional appeal, actually the emotional appeal is not so good. He says the emotional appeal challenges not the reason of humankind, the human being, but to the emotion of human being. So this is the reason why Plato was against poetry. But according to Aristotle, Aristotle is not agreed with his tutor as per his views on poetry as concerned. Aristotle feels that, he says that tragedy is the highest form of poetry. His greatness lies in his finding out the real greatness and beauty of tragedy. In his theory of catharsis, he answers the charges of Plato against tragedy and also tells us why we rush to see or why we rush to read a tragedy, why we always like tragedy better than a comedy. Catharsis is the reason behind that. What Plato said, Plato says that art corrupts the readers by appealing not to the reason but to the emotions. It excites and nourishes the passion of the reader. So poetry is harmful. It is what Plato has said. It is harmful to the healthy growth of the human mind. On the contrary, according to Aristotle, actually Aristotle does not have such fear in his mind regarding poetry. Aristotle feels tragedy gives new knowledge and aesthetic satisfaction to its readers, to the spectators. And tragedy also produces a better state of mind. He adds, everybody has certain occasions in his life. These are the occasions of fear. These are the occasions of pity in the life. When we witness such occasions in tragedy or in any other kind of poetry, we become nobler than before. So, the emotional appeal made by the poetry is not harmful, but it is health giving and it is artistically satisfying. This is what we find extremely opposite to the views of Plato. Thus, Aristotle, in his observations on poetry, rejects Plato's whole theory that the emotions are in themselves bad. Particularly, he refuted Plato's objection that poetry produces a dangerous excess of these emotions in real life. Thus, in his Poetics, Aristotle defends poetry from Plato's attack on it. Friends, in the next video, we will discuss Aristotle's observation on tragedy. Thank you. Thank you very much.